Good morning everyone and welcome back to the Anarchist mod for Terraria. As always, here's a nice list of the mods I have for this video. Have any quality of life mods that I can add? Let me know down below and I can add them to my next playthrough on the channel. With the intro out of the way, let's get to this part of the adventure at the beginning of hard mode. We start just as we left off last time, with a wall of flesh being defeated. I killed some enemies after it died and they dropped something called the Essence of Darkness. I stayed down there for a few minutes to collect a good amount of them, before returning to the surface and opening the treasure bag. I also happened to get a mechanical eye to drop as well while in hell, so that was nice. Opening the treasure bag gave me the demon heart, as well as an occult emblem, which acted as an emblem like the vanilla ones, but for dark artists. I slapped it into the new slot that the demon heart gave. Now it was time to smash some demon altars and get the hard mode ore. To the Crimson! Smashing a bunch of altars with the Pwn Hammer gave me access to Cobalt, and Mithril, and Adamantite, the original 3 hard mode ores. While down there, a curious item dropped called a Crimson Fragment. I'd find out what it went to later, but I continued on, smashing demon altars in the corruption to get more spawns of ore. Down into the depths I went, gathering Cobalt really quickly to make a pick. Whenever I get into hard mode, I always skip right to the tier 3 ores to get the best I can before any mech bosses spawn naturally. I quickly got to the Mithril pick within 10 minutes, then set out for Adamantite. While going for the ore, I was able to obtain the hallowed page for the journal thing. Another page down. A lot to go, unfortunately. After over an hour of mining Adamantite, I returned to the surface, crafted an Adamantite forge, then made almost 250 bars of Adamantite. I was set. Take a shot every time I say Adamantite. I discovered a few things with the Adamantite. For one, I could make the Ares armor set, which was made from Adamantite, Crimson Fragments, and Ichor. I made that a goal to get that armor, as it seemed better than what I discovered next, that this mod added a Dark Artist helmet for the Adamantite armor, allowing it to have its own set bonus for the Dark Artist. Of course I made a full set because I had the Adamantite to spare. It gave extra healing to Dark Artist and reduced max life by 15%. Now it was time to grind for the Ares set. On the way to the Crimson, I found a very weird blue ore I couldn't mine in a snow biome. It wasn't there beforehand, strangely. I continued on, reaching the Crimson. Very quickly into it, a Crimson Mimic spawned. I decided, screw it, and fought it, taking it down after a bit. No new items yet. Soon after, a second one spawned, and killing this one dropped a Dark Artist weapon, the Godslayer spell. It was a new tracking weapon that summoned up to 3 bolts at a time to rain down. It was a massive upgrade to the crosscut, over double damage, so I swapped to that. As I continued farming Crimson Fragments, I got a message. Your mind is filled with forbidden knowledge. I had no idea what it meant, so I just continued on, gathering more fragments. After a while, these things called chilled golems started to attack. They had a lot of health, but the Godslayer spell was able to absolutely destroy them. They actually dropped some wings, the Frost Gliders. They had very excellent horizontal movement while in air but low vertical flight time. They felt really good. I enjoyed the speed it gave, as I still didn't have upgraded boots. I decided it was time to return to the surface with the new wings equipped. When I used my magic mirror, however, I was greeted by the prototype spawning in. So the message that appeared was that it wanted to spawn, just like the mech bosses. Interesting. Time to fight! This boss was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed fighting it. It rotated between shooting lasers, going invincible in shooting lasers, and creating protective minions in shooting lasers. It got faster and faster as it got lower, and I really showed that I needed to upgrade my boots desperately. When the boss was down, I of course opened the treasure bag. It dropped empty souls which could be used to quote-unquote duplicate souls, as well as materials for a summon weapon and a soul battery, which upgrades your max health by 20 once you get all the life fruit. All done with that, I remember that there's still chests in the snow biome that I had not opened, so I made some keys and went back down. The chests were pretty decent. One of them had an ice feather, which was pretty nice. After some more exploring, I returned to the surface to take on the twins. Let the fight begin. The Godslayer spell worked wonders against the twins. It almost felt too easy, with the tracking being almost hilariously good. I normally don't say that modded items are overpowered, but this one felt like I had the ability to slay gods. Oh wait. When the twins went down, I greedily opened the treasure bag. It contained another piece of the summon weapon that the prototype dropped. Nice, but unfortunately useless. Maybe later, when this mod gets a massive update or overhaul, I'll revisit it and do a summoner run. Next up, since I had time, I took on Skeletron Prime. Hey, that rhymes. Again, the Godslayer spell performed insanely well. I had very little trouble with Prime. Not much else to say. Enjoy the fight. Boss down. Not too hard. Its bag contained another part to the summoner item, so I assumed the destroyer would have the final piece. On to the destroyer. Why so quick? Why not elaborate more? No need to. Now on to the destroyer. This fight was super long. It wasn't able to reach the platforms I had built, so it just kinda spun in a circle and shot lasers. The Godslayer spell still did a lot of work, but it just took forever. Destroyer down. Such a long fight. Because I now had access to souls and stuff, I made a new item, the Leviathan's Cross. It gave a lot of good buffs to Dark Artist. I didn't use it unfortunately, as I didn't really have a spot for it. I then farmed for Ichor to finish the Ares armor. The Crimson weirdly didn't spread almost at all, so I had to make my own mini Crimson. Armor done, I soon got a message when night hit. A sniffling echoes from beyond. Oh no. Soon, the 5th and final mech boss spawned, Schnoz, the older brother to the Nose of Cthulhu. Boss fight time. This boss wasn't too bad, but its speed showed again that I needed to find an anchor of the wind. It felt bad that I still didn't have one after easily 20 to 30 hours into this one world. The Godslayer spell still did well. Here's the fight in full. Boss down, it dropped 400 hollowed bars. Hollowed bars, not hollow bars. There was an actual difference. Hollow bars from this boss could be crafted into an item that removed the pure class status if you're a wimp. I just sold the bars. Now that the mech bosses were all down, it was time to hunt for life fruit, after of course forgetting to craft a Drax or a pickaxe axe. I was able to find a pretty good amount of life fruit. After a while I crafted a city buster from Fargo's Mutant to make a very easy Plantera arena. As I was placing platforms, I happened to notice a bulb right next to the arena, just barely outside where the city buster yeeted a lot of the jungle. I decided just to fight Plantera since it was right there, forgetting, of course, to use my life fruit beforehand. This boss fight was actually kinda rough. I probably needed to replace my wings and upgrade a hollowed armor before the fight, as the lack of vertical flight almost killed me several times, with me having to hook away from the boss a lot. Not fun. This boss went down after a tough fight. Its treasure bag held some new crafting item called glass crystals. They could be made into a lot of other crystals that could be used in a variety of strong items that I will go for later. But first, time to make a Drax and go for Chlorophyte. Surprisingly, Chlorophyte didn't have anything for Dark Artist. I thought that was kinda suspicious, but you'll see later on why. I also got a journal page for the jungle while searching. There was a Chlorophyte anvil, so I made that. I then grinded for the Ankh shield. It was a long and brutal grind, one that took hours and hours and hours to do. I got it after days, weeks, months of exhaustive grinding. Now that that was made, I upgraded my wings from the Frost Gliders to the Frozen Wings. Much better. Now into the dungeon I went, only to die very quickly. Never mind. I was fortunately able to get enough ectoplasm to fight the next boss, Primordius. Let the fight begin. This was a very fun fight actually. It kept you moving a lot, with darts raining down, to the boss jumping towards you, to its spawning slimes. It was a very enjoyable fight. Definitely one of my favorite bosses for this mod so far. This boss's treasure bag contained a new material for a Dark Artist weapon, the Scourge of the Elements, as well as a new totem, the Primordial totem. This one was much stronger than the Totem of Regeneration. Unfortunately, I had to retire the old totem. Sad. There was also a new armor set that could be made from materials dropped from the boss, but it required something called ethereal chunks. I assumed they were from the dungeon, so I went back down and actually didn't die immediately. I found a new upgraded dungeon pouches for post Plantera, got a tabby and black belt, a journal page for the dungeon, necromantic essence which upgraded my health by 20 like the soul battery I forgot to use, and more Nazars. I crafted the master ninja gear to finally replace my shield of Cthulhu, then crafted the primordial armor set. Its set bonus gave me 60 Arcturum and the ability to revive up to 120 health when killed, as well as the ability to create tiny slimes to fight for me whenever I take damage. Very cool, and colorful. Afterwards, I found that I could mine the weird blue ore that I found in the snow biome. Turns out, it's like chlorophyte, but for summoner and dark artist. I unfortunately missed that. The endotherium bars, as it was called, could also be crafted into wicked bars, which I would need later. Now, on to the next boss, the Golem. The temple continued the theme of massive underground structures, as this one was huge like the dungeon, except for the boss room, of course, which was puny. Now to face the Golem, after obviously forgetting to craft the weapon I wanted, the Scourge of the Elements. Godslayer spell it is. Golem is always very easy, and this mod made it no different. The health regen from the totem made it even easier. Not really much to say, enjoy the fight. When this boss went down, I farmed it 7 more times because I had just that many batteries. Upon opening the treasure bags, I got 0 pick saws out of 8 treasure bags. Sad. I then remembered the Scourge of the Elements. To the jungle I went, grabbing a ton of chlorophyte, and finally finding an anklet of the wind. Finally! With it, I was able to make some major upgrades to round out this episode of the Anarchist mod. I went from Lucifer armor all the way to Primordial armor. Scourge of the Elements was created, replacing the Crosscut and Godslayer spell. I replaced the Totem of Regeneration with the Primordial Totem. I also went from Spectre Boots all the way to Blessed Wings, which were resprited and renamed after this episode was filmed. I added the Sigil of Arcturus, Master Ninja Gear, and Ankh Shield to my arsenal. After a massive set of upgrades, I was ready to take on the final suite of bosses, next time in the Anarchist mod. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Want more? Be sure to subscribe. Have any mod suggestions? Leave below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in what might, emphasis on might, be the finale of this series. I'll see you all next time.